This is question 12 on problem solving from the 2014 BMAT. So we're given the results of a game of guess the number of jelly beans in the jar. And so this is the top 5 people and their guesses. And so it's whoever guesses closest to the actual number who gets the prize. And so how many jelly beans were actually in the jar based on this data? So where should we start? Well, with these questions, it's usually a good idea to try and visualize the information. So here's that translated to a number line. We have 125 as the closest guess, then 140 as the second, 142 as the third, then the fourth and fifth guesses down here. So how do we decide where our actual number is on this number line? Well, if you look at first and second, it has to be somewhere between 125 and 140, but it has to be closer to 125 than it is to 140, so it has to be in the left-hand side of this line. But what else can we say? Well, if we look at third and fourth, it needs to be closer to 142 than it is to 121. So if you do a similar arrow here, which side does it have to be on? It has to be on this end of this arrow, so nearer to 142 than 121. So that leaves us with this quite narrow window. And so which values do we think are around this point in the number line? It looks like it's around the 130 to 133 mark. So we can make some educated guesses in this range and see what the different numbers would give us. So what about 130? Now it's closer to 125 than it is to 140 as required. But what about the other requirement that we have? Well, you can see that it's 9 away from 121, but it's 12 away from 142. So it can't be 130, but what if you move along a couple to about 132? Are we still closer to 125 than we are to 140? Well, it's 7 points away from 125 and 8 points away from 140. So this one works. What about this one? So we're 11 points away from 121, but we're only 10 points away from 142. So it looks like we're in this little window, and therefore 132 is our answer for how many jelly beans are actually in the jar. This corresponds to D on the question paper.